Thanks very much for checking out this episode of Turning to Him. If you enjoy what you hear, feel free to subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave comments, share it with your friends, all the basic stuff. When you do things like that, it makes it easier for other people to find the channel and add goodness into their lives. Thanks again. What did your father do that allowed you to know that you had value and that he saw your value?
Yeah, he tried. There was even when we were living up in a distant, in another state, he always tried. And I felt just by his actions and the way that he would talk with me and the way that he would interact with me and the way that he would joke with me. And when I was around him, he made me feel truly, that relationship was valuable to him. Not that he was doing it for me, but that it was for him. And that where I could see kind of that I was doing something for him, that was what it was. Seeing that, I wasn't just, a kid that he had to pick up on the weekend, but a kid that he needed to pick up on the weekend, because I was serving him just as much as, he was serving me.
Yeah. You were needed in this life.
Yeah.
You weren't just valued, but you had a job to do. You filled a role, an important role.
Yeah.
So, what advice do you give to a young person who is really struggling and who is questioning their worth, questioning their value, and maybe even wondering if they should even be here anymore?
Yeah. And it's such a difficult experience and a difficult topic. When I was getting my graduate degree from BYU, my thesis, which ended up being published, was specifically about suicide postvention. So working with people after experiencing the suicide of a loved one. And just on a high note, it's amazing that God, and Helaman were promised that God will take our not so desirable experiences and use them for our benefit. And just as we're kind of going through and thinking about, suicidology and kind of my experience with suicide, and then thinking about my practice with suicide and just kind of everything that I do, the biggest, advice and, tip and resource that I provide when I'm working with people who are in this situation is to help them understand relationships, to help them understand connection. Connection is really where God's love is. When we are able to truly connect, but then as the individual that's experiencing the hardship, when we're able to notice the connection, there's so much more optimism and purpose and fulfillment. And that's kind of the advice in the process of being able to help people, is helping people to understand how valuable they are to others. And not just on a surface level of, hey, mom gets to see you each weekend. You have friends that, you play basketball with or XYZ, but really understanding the connection that we have with different people. And in a gospel sense, that relationship that we have with, our Savior Jesus Christ and also with God, that it's not fictitious. It's not a fairy tale like I believed when I was little, but that it's real. And that it does exist and that it has power in our lives.
Right. I think that's something that we can all focus on and like you said, to help other people recognize that, to
Yeah.
where if we are at a point in our lives where we're feeling pretty mentally healthy and mentally in a good place, we can help other people. We can look for that and help other people feel a connection both to us, to their family, and ultimately to God and to Christ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a great way of putting it because we often talk about the importance of ministering. And the new, higher, and holier way of ministering is to be able to actually create those relationships, to have that conversation, to develop the connections that we have with other people, not just on a surface level, not on a, once a month come share a message of Jesus Christ level, but actually being able to develop and foster true and meaningful connection that exists beyond a monthly visit, that
Hmm.
actually promotes, this level of a connection where, you and I, we can sit here and I can tell you about, you know, that this week was awful.
Hmm.
Or I can tell you, hey, I just, I just got a pay raise, and that I can see you experience the joy that I have, not only because you have been assigned to be with me, but because you actually love me, because you actually feel joy because I'm joyful, right? That empathy. Sorry, that's a kind of a hot topic, a hot word, a buzzword right now. Empathy, really being able to understand and feel another person's emotions, whether high or low. But developing that empathy and living with people in whatever they're experiencing, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And it's such a godly characteristic, it's such a godly thing to be able to connect and to empathize with people.